why exactly is Junkrat so good on all these maps these days and is picked over Falstad so often, as we have talked about Junkrat a lot at this tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I think his damage type just fitting better in general for the meta right now. Between grenades and his AoE autos and even the Riptire and some of these engages, it's just more value than having the Falstad, which feels a little bit like a little bit with a less consistent pick. Obviously you have the Mighty Gust for an engage or disengage, but it's a lot more position reliant. You need to be looking for that big moment. It's a lot harder to play than just the consistent Junkrat.
And also Junkrat at post 13 with that air talent, you're kind of semi-global. You can just move around the lane pretty quickly. I think that's the reason why. It takes a little longer time. But Falstad, when you make the flight into a very bad position, you can just kill yourself right at that moment. I think it is a lot more risky. I think that those are some of the reasons why. But we're having a draft here as we have first pick Vayner, and it's actually came to bite a lot of the teams first pick.
It did. Sniped away this time by Tempest, going to be the hero likely for good, as he did put on quite the show this tournament every time he was given the Marine and the Marshal. But there still needs some empowerment for it. With both the Diablo and the Decade gone, we're looking at heroes like Blaze, for example, for those slows to empower the ace in the hole. And we already see Hanzo and Malfurion picked up by Ballistics on the other side.
Yeah, definitely an interesting choice here to go for the Hanzo over the Phoenix. Obviously, it's very map dependent. The Hanzo W build very, very reliable on Sky Temple, very good for getting out these mercenary camps. We do not see them grab the Thrall here, instead going for the Malfurion, presumably because of the Decade Cane ban, seeing a little bit of the tightening of the support pool again. But I'm not sure the Malfurion pick was quite as needed. Maybe would have liked to see SD get on that Thrall again. Something like the Karazim is probably a little more suited to Sky Temple, which we do see Tempest go for here.
And they were also willing to give the hack up and the Thrall. We did see when they were having the second rotation in for the second two picks. Thrall Dehaka picked up for multiple maps. Sky Temple was also not too bad to have that throw, and Dehaka, of course, having that temple face clear and to get that captured by Jungha up there. It was totally possible, but they are seems like they are trying to take a different approach in this draft for sure.
Here we see the Muradin band away, with them not having a main tank, but they are first pick after the ban phase, so they can pick up that Garrosh if it was what they wanted to go down. But now with Muradin, Garrosh, and Diablo removed, the tank pool begins to drop down a little bit. We're looking at heroes like the ETC, the Anubarak, which we know these teams like, and of course that Johanna, if we want to go a little bit more Western style.
Yeah, we still haven't seen the Johanna yet in the Eastern Clash, so it'll be a bit of a surprise for them to pull it out here, but it will be a nice adaptation. They are going to scoop up that Anubarak, which does make you wonder what Tempest is going to go for here. You know, based off past evidence, it would be that ETC, but we haven't really seen the ETC, you know, played in this sort of style, especially not against the Dehaka or not with this like strong backline. It's a bit of an uncomfortable ETC game, I think.
So what are the other options if that is the case? We have the Johanna, like we've said. Then we're moving down to heroes like Tyrael, which we have seen in the tournament before. And maybe heroes like even Stitches. You already have Karazim, but we're going to stick with the Tyrael. And they even bring out the Thrall themselves, stealing it away from Ballistics.
It was actually Tempest who started to use Thrall, not just in Sky Temple, mainly on Dragon Chariot, especially versus Genji versus the other teams versus Korea. And they were like the only team that will have a Rel Thrall on the same lane, say not in the same game, having one on top, one at the bottom, having 3-man rotation, make sure they soak easily. They look for Leviathan, and then they start to macro their game out. But they are going to keep that again against Ballistic. Let's see what they can do as a macro in Sky Temple.
So that Blaze coming out here, a lot of crowd control, roots from Malfurion, a noob CC, and of course everything Blaze offers, and the Dragon Arrow. Ballistics with very much superior lockdown, but they're up against later game, the Cleansing Touch, level 10s, we're talking about those Sanctifications of course. So do you think that the Ballistics hard CC comp is going to be able to break through that extra protection and very high sustain of the comp of Tempest?
I'm actually a little bit surprised here to see Ballistics not go for that Thrall again, you know, choosing the Phoenix instead. It's a little bit curious. I wonder if, you know, it's just a map preference for them, if they just rather have the Phoenix in this situation. But yeah, I think, you know, it does look like a bit of a struggle, especially with the way we've seen Thrall played in this series. It kind of looks like they've drafted themselves like what they just beat with against what they just had. Like, it looks like it might be a little bit hard game for them to play around this Sundering if Lockdown is able to use it as effectively as SDE. So once again, I think we're highlighting this Sundering Thrall as like a key part of this game, and playing around that, especially with the Phoenix, and in this game the Hanzo as well, you know, making sure you're safe and don't get one shot by that Sundering is going to be very key in this game, I think.
And G-Clef, what do you think? Do you think that that Sanctification is going to be enough to break the Tyrael pressure with the lack of CC they have? Is going to be enough to break through? Currently, Twitch chat is leaning towards Ballistics, but what do you feel?
Do feel about the same. I do think Ballistics still has a very good one, especially picking up Hanzo that early. It seems very weird, but that is the best hero for SCSC. I think he just wanted to have his hands on that to make sure, because they are changing things a little bit, but because they are up 2-0, they have less pressure. They want to be on comfort heroes, on the Sky Temple. Hanzo, you can always provide the damage that you want. It is SCSC we're talking about here.
And of course, it gives so much extra boss control, which when we look at the heroes, it does give boss control, but you've got to be afraid of Tyrael once again. Holy Ground immediately comes up whenever bosses are in the conversation.
Yeah, I mean, Sky Temple almost always comes down to that climactic boss fight. And I mean, we have so many tools on the side of Tempest, between the Thrall, the Tyrael, the Dahaka, you know, isolation and drag, pulling people off the point, like, and even the Hyperion potentially. Like, there's so many tools for this inevitable boss. It feels like on Sky Temple that you have to worry if Ballistics do let it get to that point. If they can't snowball with this Hanzo early camp clear, they may struggle when it gets to that point in the game.
So can Ballistics take the lead in the early game and maybe control boss with that Hanzo, or will Tempest be able to take the more sustained team fights? Let's find out as we head into what could be the final game of this series. It is game number 3 on Sky Temple.
In blue, we have lockdown on Thrall, good on Raynor, Dami on Dahaka, Sign on Tyrael, Hide on Karazib. It is Tempest.
And on the right, currently 2-0 up, it is Ballistics with Magi on that Malfurion, SDE on the Phoenix, Jongha on Blaze, Hooligan on the Anubrak, and SCSC is playing on that Hanzo. We head into the start of the game. No 5-man group up for either team. Hanzo heads straight to bot lane. No hesitation here. And everyone from Tempest have already split up Dahaka, heading straight for top lane with no hesitation at all. As Blaze begins making his way up so he does not lose out on experience.
Tyrael not really the most common hero in this meta. Not just because we had such a big tank choke against him, but Sign has been playing a great Tyrael ever since he was back in those MVP Black days. He was having some great sanctification back in with Sonya, and that was one of the combos with Thrall together. But hold on, as Raynor does get rooted. Oh, scatter! Just one more needed to get the kill.
Raynor is going to be very tense after that engage there. One more hit from anything, and that would have been a kill, but we can see the principle here. We can see the concept of Ballistics, heavy lockdown composition, and Nubrak stuns into Malfurion roots. When you add in Dragon Arrow late game, and of course that Blaze engage when he is with them, and I don't see that going so well for the Jimmy.
Yes, it is going to be really hard. Tempest does not have any other ways to kill other than some shield from Tyrael. Dahaka can provide some safety, I guess, but once the sanctification is gone, or if it's on a cooldown, Raynor cannot be close to any members of Ballistics, especially Anubarak and Blaze.
There is the faintest possibility that we could in fact see Palm for that reason from the Karazib, but there's two very tanky heroes. Well, Anubrak relatively tanky, but Anubrak in fact is a good burst target if you do want to try and get that in game.
As they keep on harassing the Hooligan since that Towers of Doom, that poor bug is getting harassed all the time. But they've got the healing from Magi. I think they're still good to go. Sign has been it's been a long time that we've seen him play on that Tyrael, but it is his old favorite hero to play, for sure.
It is cool to see him back on it here, as we do see camps, both teams grabbing the bruisers. Good and Hide on the side of Tempest. On the side of Ballistics, it is a triple. Maki, SCSC, and Jongha. With Hanzo not stacked yet, he will not mind the help. Even with that insane camp clear speed he is able to offer.
Still another passive game as Thrall. This is what Tempest does all the time. Even with the Haka, they just have a solid one because they can they can sustain themselves as well. They will look for these kind of engages. Exactly, yes. Warp
right
red. Juke. Oh man, you only have one warp.
Yeah, he tried to play around that, tried to bait out the drag early with that warp, but Dahaka was very sensibly patient, and as such, the quick kill pickup there by Tempest, just in time for the temples to spawn as they begin to pile on the pressure to this mid area. They might try and make a play top, but it looks like they're going to decide against it, just control mid, gain the shots there, and they had Dahaka soak an extra lane in bot lane instead.
Took one extra for level 7. They may hit a little bit earlier, but looks like they started the tempo a little bit earlier, so they should be able to get the ending shots a little bit quicker, possibly even rotate down or force this camp to go all the way to the fort. I think that's what Jungha wants to do a little bit more here.
We see Sign holding the front line against Hooligan. Of course, he's Tyrrell. He's incredibly mobile, so the second that CC ends from Manubrak, he's going to get out. With the pressure from this Bruiser camp and Jongha, though, with the Temple, it's going to be the first fort of the game going over to Ballistics very early here. Great control off that Temple despite giving up first blood.
Because Ballistics, they lost their first blood and kind of the control of the wave at the bottom. They had to get some extra experience from those structures. So they destroyed the top one, which is not the best setup for the next tempo phase. But Tempest, they're looking for this long game, making sure they're doing some damage to the wall. They couldn't really get all the way to the fountains, but still looking for that next tempo phase is what Tempest is actually trying to draw in their picture right now.
Swift Retribution once again coming in for Tyrael. He wants that extra damage for his team. And he's gone for the Stalwart Angel, that extra 25 armor on the level 4, which is once again going to help him, seeing as Tyrael isn't the highest hit point tank, and Karazim's heals are a little bit more intermittent than some of the other supports.
I think the early Hanzo pickup was also because when Ballistics was actually playing against Genji, they lost so many boss control because Hanzo was just so quick leading that boss. When they're up and macroing, trying to follow the macro, Hanzo got the boss in less than 10 seconds with his teammates, and they could never catch up the macro because of Hanzo's scatter doing so much damage to that boss. I think that's one of the reasons also why having that memory against Genji, the reason why they picked up Hanzo so early.
I really like this bed of barbs, by the way. Did not go into it yet, but once again, it's more slows. When you actually only really have the Blaze Oil and, once again, Plasma Cutter to set up for a Purification Salvo, every little helps in that bed of barbs. Doesn't matter how much the slow is, bed of barbs is not a significant one, but it is a slow, which means it will synergize with the Purification Salvo as we head towards level 10 for both teams.
And the next temple phase.
Yes.
And Ballistics, because they got the fort, it seems like they are closer. Tempest, even with the extra wave at the bottom, it is still not the same, as they wanted to do some more damage. But Ballistics, they're going down early because they know they have 10 first.
They're going to try and move on to the point, take a couple quick shots. Sign actually was also able to steal away a shot or two before teleporting out. The joy of Tyrael, he is just hyper mobile. As now Ballistics have their level 10, they're going to be able to gain a huge amount of shots. But Tempest, not too far behind. Dahaka once again also has a global, so if Tempest wants to make a play, they can join in. We don't see a Divine Palm, it's all in on that damage.
They would like to and love to have that Sunder on one single target and destroy with the 7-sided, mostly on the Hooligan or even Jungha if the bunker is out of there. And Dahaka looking for that angle to join into the fight. Holding on to that possible judgment.
I like the idea. Look at their burst. Sundering Isolation, 7-sided. If they can get the right target, there it is.
Judgment locked in.
Up. Now, the question is, how long are they going to wait to pull it? He's now showed it, so Ballistics know it's available. Aside, Jules, Hooligan going to back up at least a little bit. Good. Trading blows with Jongha here as SC begins to rain in the damage and already finishes off Simple Geometry. Sign teleports out, gives over the shots, which means bot will drop quite low and maybe even fall. In fact, it will certainly fall thanks to the... Actually, it's going to be close.
Yeah, because Ballistic got so many shots in already. Temple was about to end anyhow. Tempest did not have to go in, but they already showed that Judgment is locked in. And SC, of course, SC and SDE, they do have to be really careful about their positioning because once that strikes, they will be trapped into multiple CC. The following up 7-sided, Sundering for sure. Even Isolation, if that any of that follows up right after, Phoenix for sure will be dead.
Yeah, and they do move on to the Bruiser camps for the moment with top fort already down, bot fort looking low. Ballistics are in control. Not a huge amount of control, but they are looking solid. Tempest right now, they're not going passive for one of the first times here. They're looking to take, but they're actually looking for a burst engage fight, very much like the Diablo comp from Towers. The question is, can they execute it as effectively this time, and can they actually bring it into the late game?
Judgment actually one of the things that was introduced by Hooligan, by Ballistics, which is kind of funny to see
like
that if it, because it's on the other side, with even Hinterland Blast actually destroying Tempest a long time ago, and having that memory of being against them, it's kind of funny to see that. But Judgment, he does have to dive in as well. He can, of course, have a trade value, I guess, but he will be just isolated himself if he cannot actually dive in along with his teammates. Dashes a little bit, that's possible, but if you don't have the Hawkeye at the perfect place, it's going to be really hard.
I mean, they have Sundering, which means they can dive in with Sign and then disengage using the Sundering if everything goes south, and if not, they can use that to split the team for that 7-sided. So the potential is there for Tempest, but it's all going to be about bunker timing for Ballistics, because of course, Manfurion, not the best when it comes to burst healing, even with this Tranquility.
And you can't forget about the Cocoon. If you just Cocoon any of the other target that is trying to CC, and you know, the moment we try to line things up, it is very hard to happen. There are lots of ifs we talk about. That means it's harder to actually pull that off. Of course, that can happen, but less likely.
The Temple already being contested. Sign has taken a fair amount of damage. He would not mind a Karazim heal, and he does in fact get one. How nice. As Dahaka is taking top, this was more of a delay play by Sign, as they're actually going to be able to get their first fort of the game thanks to Dahaka. But that's still 2 forts to 1 in favor of Ballistics, and Ballistics, those shots are going on to that final fort of Tempest.
Dahaka has been getting all the shots, and they will try to rotate, make sure they're not doing any secret bosses brawls, making a big rotation. And Thunder, I think he actually used that Thunder onto Phoenix.
Wasn't able to pick up a kill, but while this was happening, those shots from Dahaka were able to pick up a second fort for Tempest, which is fantastic news. But less good news is the fact that this temple finishes off mid-fort, so we still see Ballistics with a fort up.
Without the Thunder on a long cooldown, because Ballistics, they do know that's on a cooldown, so they're trying with Hanzo just burning this boss down right now.
They pull it over to their side. Potentially risky here, so that they will have to push through it if Tempest make a move, and they already have done. Sign going into the backline. The isolation is dodged. Judgment still available. They're holding it as Noob dives in. Good knockback. Judgment as the boss is stolen. Here comes the salvo from the side for SDE. But right now, Tempest in full control of this fight, but Signs drops low. But Phoenix taken out.
And they also have the boss stolen for Tempest. They're keeping everyone alive. There goes the second kill. And Tempest, they turn this game around. They'll get a fort and actually open up to keep wall as well. Of course, they do have Hanzo as CSC here, who can actually delete the boss as well, but it's going to take a long time because Phoenix, Nubarak, they are not here.
And that boss steal was good. They didn't even use Holy Ground because guess what? They didn't take it.
Yes, I know. The moment he went back, I knew that it was not the Holy Ground. They didn't even need it when they were down thundering. I mean, you have Justice. You can just go back to your original position.
The Sword of
Justice. Which is not seen too many times, but
no, it's very rare.
Sign's making some crazy picks here, and it's working so far.
It's a cool idea. Once again, we were complaining about the fact of if he dives in, then suddenly he's in danger. Now he has the option to not only escape, but re-engage if that Sundering lands, or if the rest of his team decides to move in, or he can either place it on the way out and disengage with it that way. It's an interesting concept, an interesting idea. We'll have to see how well he's able to execute it as the game goes on. But right now, Tempest have finally taken themselves a lead.
Usually we see a crazy engage with the Judgment when they're off focus, but using it in the middle of the fight, it makes it really hard for the DPS, the back line, the Hanzo, and Phoenix to actually deal with it, because you do not have the same skill. You may not be in the favorite position when you want to escape. You will be stuck out of there.
You're playing a game of chicken with Blaze at this point. Just trying to make him use Boga. Sundering Judgment onto a Noob. They're trying to body block him. There's the Cocoon, but a Noob goes down, and guess what? Tyrael teleports out with the Sword of Justice.
Even Phoenix gets way too close to be. Oh, look at Hyde diving in. One more dash. One more dash, and he does get the kill from the Magi. And good tries to turn around. They are trapped. They cannot escape too much. Magi will be the one to fall. Lockdown gets Salvo, but gets a heal out from. He does go down. That's a trade, but can they make an escape here? Jongha's the only one, as he is also getting trapped. Cannot.
Oh, crossfire kill, but he is alone. He gets dragged, and that is a team wipe by Tempest. A great couple of counter kills by Ballistics, but finally, Tempest with that wave 100 fist, putting huge pressure onto the backline, and the fantastic wraparounds. They're finally in a controlling position.
Catching of Hooligan. Of course, Judgment, you can just point click. Yep. Trio will just fly into the target. But catching Hooligan at the edge, the very edge of that thundering, having that understanding of the range is not too easy, as everyone would know if you play Thrall, but having that executed perfectly in game, that was a sight to see there.
And the crowd here is very much enjoying this lower bracket final. Winner of this, once again, will be going on to play against Gen G in the Grand Finals. Ballistics, they're 2-0 up, but finally Tempest are beginning to bring this composition to bear. They have 8 kills to 2 G-Clef.
It's a very, very fiery series for sure. And to get the update that Mag is having some mic issues at the moment, so they're trying to figure that out. But in the meantime, let's talk about the team and how they broke it. Of course, they had a very nice setup with the Judgment, which Hooligan actually knew that was coming very soon.
And I believe, by the sounds of that, we have a Snitch back with us. How are you doing, friend? How are you enjoying this third game of the series?
I mean, I think we're really highlighting this Thrall again. Like I said, the Thrall in this series seems to be the key piece, and it seems like Ballistics are really struggling to deal with these Thunderings. Obviously, a little bit of a mistake from Hooligan not getting that burrow charge off, but the engage was almost so clean from Lockdown that it almost didn't matter. But yeah, I'm really enjoying watching this Thrall gameplay, enjoying the Sundering, and I'm excited to see how this carries on throughout the rest of the game.
Well, you can be excited because we're going right back into it. Nice hearing from you, Snitch. See you later as we jump back into this game number 3. Tempest, they're beginning to approach their level 19 right now, which is fantastic news. With double temples coming in, if they get good structure value here, they could close in for 20 by the time the boss respawns.
They got plenty of shots from those temples. They had double temple up when they won the team fight. Getting all the way in.
Boss
for a
low.
second, 3-level difference, but 2-level difference, that's still huge, Ballistics, because they are far behind them in the macro. Look at the bottom key. It was almost damaged, maybe lower than 50% health left on that key. Once that's destroyed, Tempest will have very close to level 20, and they can just go in and be super close to be finishing and catching up to the series, actually.
Tempest need to find some experience because this boss is not too far away. 1 minute and 14 away. If they can get 20, then they have so much potential to take this boss and go through that immensely low keep thanks to that bottom temple capture, that they can potentially get a end game condition, or at least the first keep of the game. They're trying to soak up, but the later also pushed, and we see the Ballistics trying to make a move.
Going into throw and gets stunned. He's gone. The one to make the play is gone. Carries him also in that cocoon. Can he escape? Dashes out, so that's only 1 man down, but Ballistics, they have made the move and made it work with catching Thrall right in the point, and they need to push because they want to soak and catch up to the EXP right now before the Tempest hits 20.
The pre-20 engage coming up big for Ballistics. They're still a full level behind, and like you said, 20 is just around the corner for Tempest. But Ballistics, they're making a move here, grabbing Siege Giants. They already have one set. This is a push to pressure keep with 30 seconds left on Thrall. If they can grab this keep and not die to the 20 of Tempest, then they will get themselves just that much closer to 20 and get that bot lane pressure.
Oh, this is huge. Thrall, still 20 seconds. They have four of them throwing all the way into the keep, and they cannot really engage Thrall. Without Thrall, they can't really do too much, but they, because of the timing and how far the next temples are away.
Single temple, top temple, but with boss available. The question, how much pressure do you put onto that top temple? Because if you do, Tempest might get boss, and if they get boss with that level 20, your bottom keeper is going to be scrap Sandstone. Judgment onto Hooligan here, but he has Burrow Charge still available, I believe. He drops Cocoon, actually, so he likely didn't, as Karazim dives very deep, but the good split on the 7-sided damage and the immediate dash back out.
Okay, they're not going for boss yet.
Yeah,
I thought they were
kind
going
of
to just
blew all
trying
their heroics.
to delay what Ballistics was trying to do and go for the boss right after. I thought that was a tactic, getting all of them into low HP, making them heart back home, at least few of them or something. But that really didn't quite work as how they planned it in there, and Thrall was way too far away for them to actually open up. But they had the confidence because they were 20.
Judgment's already back thanks to that level 20. It's so long range now, as we just saw previously, and with a much lower cooldown. But Ballistics now have their own level 20. Sundering for the counter. Judgment onto Malfurion, who is deleted here as SDE gets in the bunker. He's in full retreat as Raiders killed him on the backline. SDE trying to kite away from Dummy as SCSC, high play of the game, but High takes him down.
And that's going to continue. SDE is also very low. Phoenix bring out some maximum damage, but he does manage to escape as Sign goes back there. 7-sided strike just wipes out the Blaze. Cocoon is onto Thrall. Hyde picks that up as Hooligan flees for his life. Phoenix, he's trying the ball. Can lockdown get him? He does get the Phoenix, and that pops his 20 as well. So, and he will warp out, but not too far. He can't go too far. Even Winian's helping him, taking him down, and that's a free boss going to the keep. Possibly even all the way to the core. Let's see, Raynor is down, so they do lack a little bit of that siege damage.
That wind rush from Thrall was huge with Phoenix down. Like you said, a free boss. We see Anubrak doing the only thing he can do. Grab the temple while he waits for his team to spawn. This is going to put pressure on. He does have a bruiser camp up here. But with 40 seconds left on the Phoenix, this is likely going to be a 5 versus 4 defense in favor of Tempest as they have that boss pushing in.
Oh yeah, this may be game. Look at this huge wave that they have. Ballistics does have push on the top. They don't care about that because this keep is about to go down in a matter of seconds, and they're going straight to core. Still Phoenix 15 seconds. They have to work their way in, set everything up with the positioning. If Ballistics lose any of their members, but only 4 of their members, they are going to get one in. There's Spunkle. Thrall's gone.
Good cleanse.
Trying to pipe onto Hanzo, but that's 1-1 trade. Bunker has been used already, so they can't really do too much. That's Nubarak down for 60 seconds now.
That's their main engage tool, but once again, Hanzo's still alive. He has the best boss clear here. He's going to be able to try and burn this down. Salvo only finds Side and Good as they try to burn this through. Joghar gets 7-sided struck down as SC tries to burn through the boss, but the core is on 60%, G-Clef.
And that's going to continue. SD trying to stop from attacking, but boss is gone. But 10%, 4%, and that's core down. Tempest comes back into the series, taking game number 3.
It's not over yet. The Tempest signs being raised up. And Tempest, they're going to have to try and perform the reverse sweep, but step number 1 has been taken.